Sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Welcome to a dark place, far, far away, where the only language spoken is Supercoach. Welcome to the Phantom's Lair.
We're back in the lair, albeit a different one, but there's four of us here in the studio. This is the Phantom speaking. Mr. KFC Supercoach, the reliable Mr. KFC Supercoach is here.
Always around, Phantom. Good to be here.
Now, the Eradicator can't be with us today. We might get him on the phone shortly, but there's two others in the room. The return. He's off his deathbed. The KFC Supercoach hipster Matt Turner back on the show. The fans have been crying out for the past month, it seems. Welcome back.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Well, if you sound, he's a bit quiet. He might be a bit quiet today because the other man in the room, Simeon Thomas Wilson, sitting pretty close to him, and that's fair enough too because he's right up his you-know-what in the overall race after what is being described out in the KFC Supercoach community as a courageous performance with one man down. Sim.
Phantom, I'm just observing how Matt goes about it for when I do overtake him, and he's on the show next year.
Well, we've got a new room, new recording studio.
Even getting our windows cleaned by three fine young gentlemen outside.
They might be listening.
I hope so. They might be fans.
The hipster, no beanbag though.
Yeah, no, in terms of things we need to raise to head office as an issue, I hate sitting on a seat.
We'll take us back a couple of weeks. The fans haven't heard from you for a while. How is your KFC Supercoach season panning out? How did you go over the weekend?
I was born on May 9, 1986 in Adelaide. It's funny, isn't it? You know, last week when I had a reasonable round, I think I was second or third in the pod, happened to be sick, and listening at home, I thought, it's been a rough day. Still waiting a COVID test. Wonder what the boys have, what sort of instructions they're giving out on the pod, and the entire time it's basically just a Phantom roast. Phantom's swanning about now. First time in 4 years he's actually having a decent season, so he's now resulted to become a bit of a Supercoach bully and potting a guy who's has 3 days in a row off. Crook could barely leave the couch for 3 days, and listening to it, and it's all about how the reliability of the other two compadres and the unreliability of this person that's sooking because of his score, despite the fact that I actually got the second highest score, I think, of the pod last week. So I thought, well, if that's how it's going to be played, then that's a low blow. I'm not stooping to those levels, and I'll come back in despite having a low score on the weekend. Probably my worst score in a month. I had 7 weeks in a row going backwards, then 4 weeks in a row going upwards, and now a big step backwards, 1,500 spots backwards, and 2388 I think it was. It was a pretty poor score in a round full of big scores. I got beaten by 330 points in my elimination final, which is my own fault. Congratulations to Mob, by the way, if you're listening. Well done, mate, because that was the biggest score, I think, in the Premier League.
Yeah, massive score, and in a massive round.
27-12, thereabouts. But the week before, if I went a little bit harder with a trade, or made the right trade, Bailey Smith instead of Buddy, backed myself into a corner to only get Buddy on a Sunday. If I made that trade, I wonder if that extra 70 points would have made up the 1% that I missed out on fourth spot in the double chance by. But obviously we never know, and lick our wounds for next season. Third season in a row of a no better than make the finals, but no better than a semi-final. So things have got to change in Pepino land, but on terms of total points, I'm doing better than I have in previous seasons where I was in a lower division against lesser competition. So I think I'm 9th total points.
We can phone in next year and let us know how you're going.
Well, I'll probably phone in next year and just cop all sorts of kicks. So shout out to any rival podcasts. If I'm not on the show next year, happy to
Selling himself.
join in as a bit of a guest spot to people that actually respect me.
Are you actually going to play Supercoach next year, Matty? Giving your statement?
I can't remember what the statement was. All I know is this, that my weekend wasn't great. I have too many... I haven't addressed an issue that's been a lot of teams' issues all season, my forward line. A lot of teams have had poor forward lines. We know about it. Rather than swinging back Zorko and a couple of weeks ago, I thought, no, I'll bring in more forwards. And that was, at the time didn't look silly because, again, Buddy was in form and a few other guys were in form, but it's just Bolton. You can tell where I brought in Shea Bolton by looking at his scores, because it's the week that he started to go from absolute gold to absolute rubbish.
Well, I've had him for 2 weeks as well, for 2 disappointing returns.
Yeah, well, that's 2's better than 6.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you back. Just know to keep you motivated, keep you honest, and you neither want to come back in. So it's good to have you back on the show, Mr. KFC Supercoach. How did you fare in round 20?
Yep, pretty solid, but it was such a huge round. I mean, 25-36. I actually went back about 75 spots to...
That's amazing.
Yeah, just a bit outside 9,000. So not great in the overall, but we're sort of slowly plugging away. Like most, I mean, obviously there were a lot of high scores there. I had most of them except for, I think, Rowan Marshall and Sam Walsh, Andy Brayshaw, the star there. Nice
Huge.
to see. Bailey Dale and DeGoey go all right in my forward line.
Dale was exceptional.
Yeah, he was.
Solid again. But I also had, I'm just looking at it here, 6 scores between 51 and 77. So
Wow.
that's the mixture. There was a
You've
lot of
done
high scores.
very, very well to get that score, considering I would have had probably that amount, but didn't. You've beaten me by 130 points. So
Yeah, I just having. I mean, obviously Andy Brayshaw was worth an extra player, and
That's a good point.
Jack Steele as the VC, and Oliver.
Unfortunately, I listened to. There was a guy by the name of, I think they call him the Phantom,
Yeah.
whose advice last week was, I think Jack McRae's the perfect.
Oh, well, because
VC.
I said
Yeah.
VC Steele.
I should have listened to you.
Selective hearing. I think I prefaced the
I
statement.
replayed the quote.
You replayed it?
I did.
I'm
I
gonna
actually went back. I put it in our
What did I
group chat.
say?
The exact quote was, "If you've got, you did mention if you've got Steele, blah blah blah." But then,
You got,
but-
wait.
but-
If you
no,
got,
no,
if,
but
if,
you then,
if you got still
contradict-
BC him.
You then you then went on to say, "Listen to me." You then went on to say, "But I still think Jack McRae is the perfect VC." That's what he said. And this is what you get, folks. You've been listening. I've been listening to this guy for far too long in my life. But you guys have been shortchanged by him the last 3 years listening to him. Finally, he's repaying some of that. And you know what it cost me? 27 points. And this is probably a segue to Sim, because it was about 27 points, the difference between me and Sim this week. And 27 points would have been the steal to McRae.
I did say, if you have Steele, you VC him.
But then you said, but I still think. Anyway, I've listened back to it. You clearly haven't.
Simi and Thomas Wilson, speaking of Jordan to go, a couple of good segues into your week. No Taron Thomas this week. You still got the hipster covered.
No, I had to go, unfortunately, with Taran missing through concussion. I had to just field the 21. But I ended up scoring 24-19, which I was pretty happy with. It was a very gutsy effort from the guys. They man down and they just went, we're not worrying about that. We're going to have a right track. So the goalie, I mean, that for Phillips is just him. For Phillips has just made that was
it's just giving you a chance in this in every facet of any race you want to talk about, whether it's overall top 10,000.
Hipster is worried about DeGoey. He blew up the group chat with DeGoey on the weekend.
Well, you know what it is. If Collingwood showed a little bit more faith in Nathan Buckley, Sim would be about 30,000th overall by now, because Jordan DeGoey was not played as a midfielder in the Nathan Buckley reign very often.
He was played in round 1, but then Jamie
Very
Elliott,
often.
then Jamie Elliott went down.
I call Jamie an
That's been
elephant.
the key.
Yeah, no. Jamie Elliott went down, and then DeGoey had to go forward. And now that he's back, we are seeing what was always on the cards this season. It was a breakout season for DeGoey.
Yep.
He's full-time midfielder, and he's just racking up the points.
Very good. 26-32 for me in round 20. But give him, as we mentioned,
How quickly did you cut Sim off then and just go to yourself? That was just... Sim,
he talked about a gutsy
you're bringing him
performance.
on the
Jordan to go here.
You're bringing him on the show.
We can't all talk for as long as you. We'll be
Well,
here
you're
forever.
bringing him on the show, and then you suddenly... your eyes lit up then, as if it was, the birth of your child about to come out, and you... Here it is, my score, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa! Anyway, keep going.
Well, do you have anything more to say, Sim?
It's too late now. He's forgotten. Go to your...
26-32. Only rose 100 spots in the ranking, as Mr. KFC Supercoach mentioned. A big week. Some big scores out there in our leagues in particular. It's not a massive...
Very few popular players had a poor week. It was probably the way that was going through at the weekend. I can't think of that many. Danger at 88 was one, I guess, but even that 88's not a disaster.
Yep, I had Lockie Neal, who struggled with 70, Josh Kelly 94, but they take that.
Yeah.
Tim Tarano, 57. Is he popular?
He's pretty popular.
Have you got him?
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
That is...
Yes,
I don't know what Leon's doing. That's just terrible.
Shout out to Josh Money, who made the move last week to go from Tarantula straight to Rowan Marshall.
Yep.
Made 100 points on that. Certainly didn't... it's not a disaster doing that by any stretch.
We thought that maybe Toby Green's return would mean Taranto back into the midfield. Didn't happen. He played forward against the Power, but I guess with Jacob Hopper already ruled out for round 21.
So this is the interesting thing, isn't it? We're backing him again based on a positioning thing that didn't come to fruition the week before. He's a frustrating player to watch when you own him, Tarantula, because he's not really a forward. Be interesting to see how this unfolds, the run home.
Yeah.
I think most players would, if you offered players more trades, they'd be trading him.
There's a few other struggling popular players.
Shay?
Our Peyton, our friend at the Herald Sun trade guide on Monday went through some big names and what to do with them if you have a trade left. And I guess that takes us on to the main discussion. How many trades left do we have on around the table, and what are we doing? If Mr. KFC Supercoach, you've got one trade left like me, 3 rounds to go. Have you waited long enough to use it this week, or are you still going to play it conservative?
That's the question, isn't it, fans? I think I might pull the trigger this week. I think I've got... if I pull the trigger, I think I've got hopefully enough cover across the different lines. So, look, you might as well. There's 3 rounds to go. If you've got a full team this week and then it's only 2 weeks after that, I mean, it's handy to have that extra trade in case one of your big guns go down, and then you can sideways him and not lose anything. But I think I'm treading water a little bit. I mean, I might as well push it for the last three weeks here. So very quickly for me, I've still got Dusty in my mids. I've been playing Lockie Bramble at M8. And
he sort of fell off a little bit, his first poor game in a month.
Yeah, exactly. And that was surprising as well. They had the win too. So as a team, they played well. So yeah, so I'm certainly thinking of doing Dusty to someone. I can only go to about 460. Unfortunately, I'm just a little bit short of Fiorini and Chero, who are two of the, like literally 1k short of those two. So
who are you thinking?
Well, they were the two I was thinking. But unfortunately, that my third option not quite as good, I don't think. But LDU from the Kangas,
like it,
been relatively solid. No Cunnington,
Nice.
certainly got that role.
So you're going with LDU?
I can do that with 1k to spare, and if I do it, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it. I've got to always wait to see teams, of course, but that will probably be the move for this week. I don't mind the Kangas. They got the Crows in the last round. This week, Richmond sort of play it pretty fast and free through the midfield. So
I like that move.
Yeah.
Before LDU a couple of weeks ago when he scored 77.
I know.
On the eye test, that was a 100-point score.
Yeah,
I watched that game. Who they beat? Did they beat someone?
Carlton.
I watched that whole game.
Yeah.
And he played a 100-point game to the eye test. Yep. So that was, he's in good form. Roos are improved.
Pretty solid over the last probably 8 to 10 weeks.
I think that's a good move.
And you in a barrack for the Kangaroos the next 3 weeks.
Oh,
anyway, don't you?
I wouldn't mind if the Kangaroos got a couple of wins in the run home.
What price range are we talking? I'll get the filter out.
Hip's just going to have
I've got 460 for me. That's what I have.
Have you thought about Steel side bottom?
Yeah, Steele's the other one, and I like the dual position with him as well. Just, I don't know. Steele's been, he's been good the last couple, and I think he's 429 mid forward.
Yep.
He's the other guy. He's actually the other guy I was looking at. So
He's in the midfield with Pendle's out. He's in there.
That's probably the key. Scott Pendlebury being out, still side bottom, but he's had a couple of good runs this year and then just fallen off the cliff. But probably right sim there with.
I do like
Pendlebury.
the up and coming kind of that. Pies are in pretty good form as well, but the Kangas seem to be coming home with a little bit of a rush.
The other one that only burnt me at the start of the year, and I hate that I keep going back to it, Andrew Gaff. Two games in a row at Optus.
We did
West Coast have to show something.
On the nose, though.
They are.
The two teams right now that are on the nose are West Coast and Brisbane. In terms of just like, there's just a concern. I reckon if you'd have to, at the very least, think an extra few times about bringing in a player from either of those teams.
That's the riskiest one.
Yeah.
Out of those three, he's the riskiest.
What's his price now? We discussed him last week. A question came through about sort of value midfield replacements. So it was a good pick. Yeah, so it's still pretty good buying. Before we
3% of teams owned. Yeah. He scored 3 tons the last 3 games. Only high score is 104. But then he goes Demons, Fremantle, both at Optus, and then Brisbane at the Gabba. So
interesting one. We'll let Hipster think about a couple other names, and then we'll get to his trade plans. He's got a few more trades up his sleeve than us.
More trades in a sense.
I'll mention my thoughts. Mr. KFC Supercoach and I had this discussion off air. I know it's in his plans too. Zach Butters from the Power, obviously back in the side, 388k. Was good on the weekend, scoring the 90s. Break even is up to about 87. So he might sort of hold his price, but he's probably not getting any cheaper now. I've got one trade left. I'm going, I don't need to get anyone off my field. It would just be a luxury trade like a Shea Bolton. Shea Bolton to Zach Butters could work out, but the thing is I'd have to do it this week given
Who's
the
your
price
ruck
difference. Got Ryan Marshall.
Sorry, you can swing, yep.
But then, like you mentioned before, if the big name goes down, if a Jack McRae goes down, or a
say your boy Ryan Marshall,
or a popular, it's not your boy anymore. You need to pick him, then he can be your boy again.
Mate, he's sitting in my draft team as my holdover for the last 5 years.
But Zach Butters, I've got enough cover. I've got Bramble, Dev Robinson obviously got dropped, which wasn't ideal. I've got the Rory-led swinging defence, got the Marshall swing, Waitman on the bench. Hopefully CCJ maybe comes back.
And you're going to probably struggle to do it next week, I'm guessing, with the high
won't be able to afford it, yeah.
Bolton.
So Bolton 130s, I think, to break even. He's going to plummet again. So this will be the last chance to probably get a decent option for him.
Butters has the Crows as well.
It's a really interesting one because what if there's 3 injuries this week? And then you're suddenly like, and this goes back to why I didn't trade last week, because I thought if I cop 2 injuries and then I'm left with 1 trade to manage the carnage, I might lose out. Bramble to, I was looking last week at Libba, Bailey Smith, Rowan Marshall, and there was a 4th one, Crispy Kung Pao. 3 of the 4 of them scored 140.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, God, and all weekend in the chat, I thought, you idiot. But if the injuries do come, say Heaney's out, and then say I lose another one.
Some news Tuesday afternoon about Isaac Heaney. You just read it out to the group. A test to play this week.
He's a test to play. I saw the injury with the thumb. It was a bit of an awkward landing after, I think it was a mark. He's funnily enough, for a frustrating player, he's actually is in improved form. He's not certainly. I wouldn't be trading him in if you were. He was another one in that price range. I wouldn't be trading him in. Yeah. But that is an interesting one if he doesn't play. My point was going to be that if you do that move, it's an interesting one, isn't it? In terms of you're backing that Bolton isn't going to turn it around. You're backing Butters, who's had 2 foot injuries this year, is going to be okay. You're backing that Butters is going to be much better points-wise. I think there's too many variables there for me to waste/use the last trade on Zach Butters for Shea Bolton personally.
Yep, I'm probably leaning towards holding off. Bolton kicks 3 behinds on the weekend. If he bobs up with a couple of goals this week, the score could be much more respectable.
Yeah, I think there's too many. I reckon the points difference there from here on is probably 15 points a game.
Yep.
As a rough average. And that is a trade worth 15 points a game? I don't think it is.
Probably not.
For 3 games.
Sim, what is
45 points.
Taron Thomas 463 just misses out, I think. Mr. Casey Supercoach is thinking. Taron Thomas?
Yeah, there's some value in the 460 to 470 range.
Who are you going from again, sorry?
Oh,
Dusty.
so I've got Dusty and then I've got like 14k, so I can just get to basically 460, bit over 460, but I can't get to 461 because I was really keen on. I was looking at as soon as the lockout ended. We had the updated scores. Like Fiorini, and just literally about 900k short.
Fiorini had a bit of the Darcy McPherson's about it when I first saw it.
And I also like Chera as well. I know you had a bad experience with him, but he looks without Fife. Walter's injured.
That's helped for sure.
He's playing really well. Both those two, the young guns there, Brayshaw and Chera.
I got him too early.
Sim, what are you doing with your trades this week?
I don't have any trades, so I'm just finding a way.
But you're fielding 22.
I can field 20 at this stage. I can field 22. I saw a picture of Taran on the track, and he looks like he's fine to come back. At the moment, it's a positive.
Yep. Hipster, how many trades you got left? And
other news, by the way, ladies and gents.
Tuesday afternoon.
Chris Mayne retirement.
Retirement.
Yep.
What are you doing with your trades this week?
Just a one comment about Chris Mayne, but just one of the underrated tough nuts of the comp, I reckon. Really, really, what's the expression? Got every ounce out of his career, that guy. Everyone thought he was dead and buried when he first went to Collingwood on that contract and then helped him make a granny. Watched him closely a couple of times in the hub last year. Really, really good career. So shout out to Chris Mayne. Also maintained a haircut for 12 or 13 years, which is in the club with Jonathan Brown and Nathan Bassett and some of the others.
He's vegan, isn't he?
Not sure what that's got to do with it.
No, it's not. I was trying to say, just you don't have a lot of vegan AFL players.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, fair point. Yeah, Matt Prittis was the other one with the haircut club.
That's right.
What was the question?
Your trades this week.
Yeah.
You say you've been a little bit more conservative than many KFC Supercoaches out there. Are you going to continue to hold?
Do a poll later this afternoon to see. You've got the reach more than me. Do the poll this afternoon to see how many trades people have got.
Okay.
0, 1, 2, or 3 plus. I'd be interested to know.
Okay, I will do that.
Yeah, give me your advice.
I'll do it mid-show and we'll discuss the results.
Do it mid-show.
Tell us. I'll do it now because I have about 10 minutes when you go through your trade. So, what are you thinking this week? You're going to go for it? Or are you holding? You're going to wait for the Jack McRae injury?
wait for grand final day.
save for next year.
You should be able to hold him over for next year. As discussed, I was hoping on the weekend that Lockie Bramble would score 80 plus, and the gap between Bramble and whoever I traded him wouldn't be worth it, essentially, to do that. Instead, Bramble had a bit of a mare, and like I said, 3 of the 4 guys I was targeting, it was as if that they knew that I was targeting them, went large. So, Rowan Marshall's obviously, despite Phantom wanting to pour cold water, Rowan Marshall and I have had a long-standing relationship, basically uncovered this guy. It's like going to a bar and you see a band and then suddenly they're playing Glastonbury a few years later.
Is that why you're so filthy on the Saints? You used to be their recruiter and you found him and then they gave you the flick.
I didn't even really understand what you said.
Can you describe the first moment you saw Rowan Marshall?
Saints. Discovered Rowan Marshall.
I got absolutely smashed by Champion Data's expert, fantasy freako.
Shout out to our friend.
Even considering Rowan Marshall, and now everyone's talking about him like, oh no, Rowan Marshall. Yeah, we've been on him the whole time. We knew he was a good player.
Listens to the show, the freak.
Yeah, I know. He's a great man. What I'll say is this: that I need to finally get some midfield strength into a team that is carrying's the wrong word, but I've got Hawkins, Heaney, Buddy, Bolton in a very, very flimsy forward line. That forward line on any given day could go anywhere between 45 and 130. So ideally, I wouldn't be carrying all those guys. I backed myself into a corner a couple of weeks ago where I trusted stupidly that Tyler Brockman might get a score that was passable as an emergency, and then I wouldn't have to trade, and instead left myself with only Sunday option players, and hence why I ended up with Buddy to cover Brockman's 27. To this week, Taranto's out of form. I've got Zorko out of form. There's a lot of guys in my team that are just poor form at the wrong time of year. Riddler and Bunga I think, were more one-offs, hopefully. They've been pretty good, so can't complain about them. But that begs me to this week. So with Bramble and probably Highmore, just because Highmore's 330, I know he's a good, solid backup, but I'm hoping that between Peatling, who I watched in the Giants game, he had a really good finish to that game.
He was good.
And Bianco, those two basically switching with each other, that can cover the final 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
A combination of those guys. I've still got the great Harry Sharp if he comes out of high school and plays another game.
Famous on the show.
Sharp as a wet leather bag, as my maths teacher used to say. Now, I would say this, that probably Jared Lyons is a bit of a boy of mine, a guy I've liked for a really long time. I've picked him in years gone by. I had him last year. I've had him in one of the last 2 draft seasons.
I'll cop that. I'll cop Jared Lyons, his boy.
Yeah. I'm also looking at Luke Parker as a bit more of a hipster selection. I haven't had a lot of luck with Swans players when you look at Buddy and Heaney, but Luke Parker is on. This is another one. Just the game, just not realising it because I'm half asleep. 3-round average of 120, 5-round average of 117.
Yep.
Only in 3% of teams. Players have probably got Patrick Cripps or guys that are doing nothing this year, and Luke Parker. No, why would we get him? Well, because he's getting good scores. So only 3 scores under 100 since round 8. And they were 98, 86 and 95. Last 4 weeks he's gone 132, 128, 122, 111. And they play the Saints North and Gold Coast going home. That's where hopefully Buddy and Heaney get something out of that, and hopefully Parker can as well if I go down that route. The other option would be the money route. Do I leave myself with a little bit more money? So Lyons is 553, Parker's 580. Obviously, taking Bramble off the field, I'd play full primo. The other option would be to go Libber, who's 520, and that would leave me with $100,000 for my final trade to make a decent trade, whether next week or the week after, from one of these underperforming primos like a Bolton, to someone that's in form playing well.
Or if you do get an injury in mid-game or someone, then that person drops in price like a Dusty did, and then you need $100,000 to get a decent replacement.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't mind the Libber option either. I was looking at him last week.
Does Bailey Smith come into this? You've talked about him a lot. Is he still in the thinking?
What I've learnt this season is don't chase guys you missed out on. Okay. Hawkins and Heaney, I almost traded in the week before. Hawkins against Port, had a blinder. Heaney against, I think it was Carlton. And then I was meant to trade him in that week. I didn't. And then I got him the week after and they went to rubbish. I don't want to tempt fate by doing that with Bailey Smith, getting him the week or 2 after. Even though I was sort of saying I'm partly doing it with Libber, but I wasn't absolutely sold on Libber last week. I was weighing up 3 or 4 guys. So I could do that. I think Crispy Kung Pao might be slightly out of price range, but he's another one that's
been huge. Yeah,
he's another one that people will just underestimate. 5% of teams, 552. So I could afford him actually. Last 2 weeks, 143, 140. He's only gone 4 sub-tons since around 6. And those were 81, 79, 99 and 85. 5-round average of 117, 3-round average of 122. I could swing lead in and go the Kung Pao. So I hadn't even raised that as an option the other day. And then there's obviously the Marshall option, which would require swinging Bolton into my mids. But I just think I need a strong... My midfielders just look so weak. And I think Lions, Libba, Parker or Kung Pao, one of those 4.
I like Lions. For me, let's go around the table. What do you guys think? Hipsters trades there. Would you go to the... Jared Lyons is super value given he's still in the top 6 or 7 midfielders this year.
People have been criticising me this year from going away from one of my favourite stat in the game, really. Price, points per dollar.
Yeah. While you look that up. Mr. Cave Supercoach, Sim, what do you reckon for Hipsters?
I reckon crisp.
Yep.
This is reverse psychology.
No.
I reckon crisp. I've heard he's actually.
I reckon you should keep Bolton.
Bramble. Give Bramble one more week.
Finlay McRae's been doing pretty well. I reckon you put him on your field.
I've traded in Chris Main after he's retired.
I'm a big Chris fan. I reckon he's. Yeah,
you talking about the food or the player?
Both. No, I like him. I like him the most.
Yep. Mr. Cafey Supercoach.
Look, I've got Jared Lyons. Had him in draft. Had him in my team for now about 5 or 6 weeks. Been pretty solid. Hasn't hit the heights of the earlier part of the season. I've got to admit, I really like Luke Parker, actually. I just think it's a nice point of difference. Good run home. It's been super consistent. I think Lyons is definitely safer. I think Lyons is, you can lock him in for I've had him the last 6 weeks. He's a locked-in 100. Oh, jeez, touch wood. But I just think Parker is just a good point of difference, and he can go really large too.
It's a real tricky one because
you and Sim just texting each other, Mr. Supercoach.
It's a real tricky one because, and this is where my Supercoach mind is complicated more than say yourself, fan, or probably even Mr. Supercoach. I don't know about old mate over here, but my mind takes things into account like, is he my boy? Numbers, like I'm a massive triskaidekaphobia sufferer. So if someone's price adds up to the number 13, or they're averaging 13, or they're in 13% of teams, I don't bring them in.
Oh wow!
So little things like this that I take into account, and you can see why, these moves become a little bit more complicated for me than they do for you.
Yep.
So who have you not traded in because the numbers
Three
added up to 13?
There's 3 or 4 of them. There's 3 or 4 of them during the year.
So you're saying that Parker has 13?
No. My favourite number is 11. Lyons is in 11% of teams, so that points to a good score. Parker's coming off a score of 111.
Oh, okay.
So they both point to that.
Yeah, Parker's break even's 113.
Oh, that's good.
just going.
But my point was also going to be with the Sydney team that have also had 2 swans they didn't work out. So do I go down another swan who's not my? I like Lou Parker.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like I liked Buddy, but he's not really my boy.
And you got Rich who's going well.
He's not my boy.
You got Rich who's been going well for you all year. He's a Lion.
Second ranked defender. How about my boy as well? Just while we're on swans, Smokey Dawson. 7th ranked KC Supercoach defender.
How's Will Gould going?
Last 6 matches.
Is Will Gould even alive?
How's Nick Newman going?
111, 105, 141,
Hayden
94,
Young,
111, 120.
Jackson Hately.
Hayden Young was very good in the week.
He was, actually. I looked at... you know what...
I started with Sam Walsh, so who cares?
I'll say this. Tom Green is probably not going to average 105 this year if he finishes the year in the ruck.
Next year.
I'll just say this, though.
Smokey's been good, though.
Yeah, he has. No, you can... Hey, if you have 100 throws at the dartboard, you probably get a bullseye. I'll say this, that the other thing I was looking at was, is it possible with only 23 grand in the bank to go, and this is only, I guess, applies to people that have got more than one trade. Probably you'd need 3 trades. You might not want to go down to 0. Is it possible to bring in a Hayden Young type and a premium to give me a little bit more bench depth at the same time.
Yep, I don't mind that at all.
The problem is with 23 grand, it is difficult. I would need to probably then trade, rather than Highmore, I would probably need to trade Taranto to Young.
279k Hayden Young.
Yeah. Taranto to Young, and then Bramble to one of those guys.
Lions, man.
Don't mind it.
You don't mind it?
Mm.
I didn't see Freo's game. What can you tell me about the young
Very
Hayden Young?
good. 23 disposals, 91%.
What was his kick-in situation?
For the second half,
Okay.
but got into few nice positions behind the ball as well. Took a number of intercept marks.
Because the week before he didn't
Didn't
score
he
that
Mr.
well.
Coach, Supercoach?
50 odd, I think.
Yeah, that was his first game back.
Yeah, I don't think he was taking kickouts from memory, the what I saw of the game. But, look, it was a home game. It was a tightly fought contest. I think he had a good matchup.
I will say, though, that I was thinking about doing this last week. I was thinking, geez, do I bring in someone that's going really well? Yeah. And I was looking at Jeremy Sharp. Woo! Gosh.
Yeah.
Thank goodness I didn't do that. That would have blown up the group chat. It might not have had a phone.
All right, let's go to Facebook and Twitter for a few questions here before we go into the VC and C discussion. Matt asks, he's in... Oh, sorry. Before we go into questions, let's go to the poll that I've just put up. Hipsters poll.
Hipsters poll.
So 12 minutes ago, 245 votes.
Wow! Really?
Yeah.
How many followers are you getting?
Just the Phantom.
Again on Twitter?
Big
Almost
name. Big name,
11,000.
the Phantom.
That is impressive.
Okay. 42% of the 245 votes have 0 trades left. 26 have 1, 19% have 2, and only 13% have 3.
Oh! What did I just say?
13. You better use it. You better use it.
Oh, no.
Hurry up and vote. Someone else vote.
Have you
People
voted?
vote.
Have you voted?
I'll vote.
Okay.
I vote.
And look what the time is. 1:30.
I'm having real. I
That's a
can't.
double.
I can't believe this whole like aversion to 13.
I know. I didn't know it stretched that far. To
mentioned it on the show.
the dollar value added up
Mention
to.
it on the show.
Okay, Matt.
I would never live in a house that was number 13 ever.
Matt asks.
I'd probably die.
Are you
probably
like
die in the house?
Are you like lucky 7, that kind of thing, or just
No, number 11 is my lucky number. That's my old
Okay.
basketball number.
One trade left
That's
for
why
Matt.
I've really got an issue with Paul Seedsman having a laugh in a number 11 that looks like a number 1.
So that's why you're so obsessed with it. That's why.
Yes.
I mean, you started something with this whole obsession with Paul Seedsman's 11. Like they did like a ranking of the space between the numbers.
I've been first with a lot of things.
Yeah, that's fair. Matt says he's got one trade left. He's full primo. He's got Patrick Cripps and Shea Bolton still on field.
Patrick Cripps. Wow.
Here's his scenario. What do we think? Quick answer on this one. Cripps to Cam Guthrie or Shea Bolton to Rowan Marshall?
Sorry, I just got distracted by the window cleaners.
Cripps to Marshall, Cripps to Guthrie or Bolton to Marshall? Can we think Bolton can get closer to Marshall than Cripps can to Guthrie?
I'll go the other way around.
I just
You
don't
reckon?
like Bolton.
Cripps gets
You're
surely
off Bolton.
Totally off Bolton.
Yeah.
He's playing up forward.
So-
I mean, he has to kick goals to...
Cripps can get you maybe a 90.
So Bolton to Marshall maybe.
Why are they playing Bolton up forward?
Interesting. Don't know.
So good in the midfield
Yeah.
earlier in the year.
Might push him back there.
Oh, yeah.
So what do we think for Matt's?
I think Bolton to Marshall
Yep. All right.
because only as a Guthrie owner, as good as he's been the last 2 or 3 weeks, he is prone to a stinker.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of that in him. He had a 40 earlier in the year.
Yep. So it's probably pretty unanimous there, Matt. Corey's got one trade left, and he's got Kyle Langford, who the Bombers ruled out on Monday night again
That's
with a
unlucky.
hamstring injury.
Really unlucky because people that brought Langford in have suddenly... People that would have brought him in
Or held
before
him,
these
yeah.
injuries and then
Then held
held are now basically getting 1 week of Langford in 3 or 4.
Sim, one for you. His replacement options: Taron Thomas, still side bottom, Chad Wingard, Matt Kennedy, or Dylan Moore.
All right, do not go near Kennedy more. Chad Wingard. Chad Wingard, if you wanted to go really, really unique, like, Clarko could...
Wingard had a great game.
He did.
Clarko could come home like a house on fire.
Yeah.
There could be... I would say...
Dylan Moore's been improved.
If you can afford Thomas, only one trade, doesn't matter what money he's got left over.
Yeah, I think Thomas.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I would say.
I think Thomas, based on that last game, I'm hoping that that's not an every week thing from here on. Otherwise, we're in trouble there with Pepinos. Matt Kennedy, got to say, as much as we sort of bag him, he's got hundreds in 3 of his last. He's gone 1 up, 1 down. He's gone 115, 70, 116, 67, 100, 46, 120. So if you'd said at the start of the year that Matt Kennedy would give you 500s in 7 games, you probably would have been surprised.
Yep.
The problem is he's in between. His floor is low.
Yeah.
If his floor was higher, you'd think about it.
What's Wingard's floor?
He's only been back in for 2 weeks or what? Yeah, he had that famous argument last week.
Yes, that was interesting. But he did actually come out and he walked the walk with the following week. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Ralphie lined him up.
139. He had 101 against Adelaide. I mean, gee, if you were taking a throw at the stumps, Wingard would be what? Because I mean, he's got two games. It looks like the 2 next games are in Launceston where he's played pretty well. Yeah, that's where he scored 139 against Brisbane. So and Hawthorn do play better there.
Yep.
It's not. Yeah, I don't mind the winger. Thomas is.
I think Thomas is the best one, but Wingard if you wanted to be different.
Fozzie's got 2 trades left.
Fozzie.
He's thinking, obviously, wants to upgrade someone, maybe his last position in the forward line. Josh Dunkley.
Slam.
Or Aaron Hall. Or Zach Butters and keep one trade. So obviously he can upgrade his last player to Butters without using an extra trade.
Oh, yeah.
But obviously to get to Dunkley or Hall, he's got to burn the other one. Is it worth it?
I was a bit worried about Dunkley. I think Dunkley for the price, I'd be going Hall, I reckon. Which is, again, start of the season, if you'd said Aaron Hall is the best last trade-in forward option, people would probably be laughing.
Shout out to Josh Money.
On that very early. Dunkley last week, I watched, again, it's hard, Tassie's, bloody hell, Ballarat is sometimes, that's the most unique football ground in Australia in terms of the conditions and the way you play. It's much more like the 90s and 80s sort of footy. And it's hard to know. Remember Caleb Daniel when he played first game down there earlier this year, right?
19,
and he honestly looked like, in those conditions, that he couldn't possibly score well. And last weekend he obviously had a wild game. But Dunkley was just a little bit not where the ball was and pushed out again. And Treloar's not even back in that team yet.
Aaron Hall's
could be back as
last 5 games, 118, 116, 110, 124, 128.
He's a frightening player to, if you...
Don't own him.
No, yes, but I was about to say... don't you own it?
I own him. I
was about to say he's a frightening player that until you get used to his scoring pattern, when you first pick him up in the first few weeks, you think, what the hell is this guy doing? I was hitting up money bags a few times going...
He wrote him off, yep.
He's on... Well, he's on 20... The way he
scored
scores,
about 150 that week, I think.
The way he scores is incredibly slowly.
Yeah.
Usually. He's normally on about 35 as a maximum at half-time. And then he goes wild in the second half.
I think against GWS, that game where he scored 140, he was really low in the first quarter, and then he just scored about 30 points in a minute or something ridiculous like that.
Dane Zorko's doing that, except he's not having good second halves. So he's just doing the whole game like that at the moment.
A couple of KFC Supercoach zingers here. Connor says, in need of a rookie defender. Any word when the saviour Will Gould will play? And then there's a comment here.
Second Will Gould reference on the show.
Dean Davies, bring in a rule for 2022. Every non-rookie for the Pepinos has to be less than 10% owned. So Dean wants you to go back to the roots.
Go back to my roots.
Might do better.
Honestly, it mightn't have been such a bad rule this oh no, I wouldn't have been able to get Steele and McRae and these guys,
but you actually would have gone. You could have done like a Darcy,
Darcy Parish,
Darcy Parish. No one saw that coming at the start of the year. Sean Darcy was plausible. what about the fact that my man Took is still not in 10% of
Took.
teams?
No, you've done well there.
Can't
That
afford
is-
him. We can't afford him
That is
now.
amazing. I'd love to get 5-round average of 134, the great Took.
Poll update: 308 votes. 13% still 3 or plus.
I can't leave the office until that becomes a...
Okay, one more question. All right, on Facebook here from Michael, long time listener to the show. He's got 2 trades left.
Took's last 900, just as a Took alert. Round 5.
Very good. 166.
96.
Michael's 2 trades left. 166k in the bank. He's already in the prelim next week. He's got Taranto. He says thoughts on trading Taranto to Butters, which will replace Waitman at F6, and then next week he can trade Highmore D7 to a midfielder, and maybe a Bont or a Parrish.
Yeah.
It looks all right.
Sounds all right.
You're probably trading like for like, though. I don't know necessarily.
Talking Taranto and Butters.
Yeah, well, I just keep going back to... Yes, the proof the last few weeks has been Taranto has played a lot more forward, hasn't scored very well, but he got a 94 3 weeks ago.
But in the long run, he's almost if he goes through with it over the 2 weeks, he's
It's making
almost
the money.
He's putting turning Taranto into Bont, just say, and Waitman into Butters.
Yeah, Bont and Butters over Taranto.
Yeah,
and
I see the
whatever,
logic in it.
Highmore or
Yeah. I like it, Michael. But yeah, it's
you just have to touch wood that Butters is doesn't get another.
certainly something to be said for bringing in the big guns if he can for these last couple of rounds, rather than treading water with someone who's you know taking a punt on someone perhaps.
Yeah. Mike.
The whole season, last 4 weeks at least.
Mike. 2 more questions here about one trade. Oh, Mike's got 2 trades left, 72k. Which 2 problems do you think he should fix? Lockie Neal, Shea Bolton, or Isaac Heaney? So 2 of those 3 he wants to obviously spend the money on.
I would say Bolton and Heaney because Heaney's going to potentially miss a week. If Heaney misses a week, then that's just an excuse to trade if you're looking to trade 2 of them. Neil
could come back.
Neil could come back.
Yeah, I agree. Brad Dorr, 1 trade left, 68k in the bank. He's obviously same thing, upgrade Stephen May, Travis Boak or Shea Bolton. So obviously we think Bolton, but May's obviously been a little bit quiet, but still solid. Still very luxury upgrading Stephen May.
The teams against Melbourne have changed their game plan. So they saw what Buckley did with Collingwood that last game, and they've kind of said this is the blueprint of how you stop May and Lever from taking however many intercept marks they do.
What I was just going to say is if I told you another one of these start of the year things, we've got to do an end of season recap about surprises. If I'd said to you at the start of the year, Lockie Neal would be averaging less than 100 right now, you would have thought I was drinking. 98 averaging. So that previous one about Lockie Neal, I didn't even factor Neal in because I didn't realise he was averaging quite that low.
Yep, story of my year.
Yep.
Started with him, so that was jeez.
Okay, captains and vice captain options for round 21 kicks off on Friday night. The Cats and the Giants down at the Cattery. Paddy Dangerfield looks a nice VC option there. Carlton and the Suns, first game on Saturday. Sam Walsh and Took Miller there. You know, I don't mind Aaron Hall or something like that against the Tigers Saturday afternoon as well, given the Tigers do have, over the past 18 months, given a lot of points up to defenders, opposition defenders.
I think Took into McRae or Steele for me.
Yeah, if owners out there, Steele into McRae works pretty well again. Saturday night, Saints against the Swans into Sunday at 2:50. The Dogs under the roof against the Bombers.
Yeah. Yep.
Any love for Whitfield against the Cats? Had quite a week last week, but against Essendon went absolutely huge.
Down the Cattery a little bit.
That strikes me as something you should do, Sim, I reckon.
Ooh. Tom Mitchell against the Pies. He's had
That's
numbers in the past.
Utah's Stadium Launceston
Gee, the
as
Pies
well.
never been travelled that far, have they?
That's the first time they'll ever play a game for premiership points down there. They played in.
Where they play for packet.
No, they played a
Bubblegum or
pre-season game. I think 2016, 2015, if I'm correct.
It's cold down there. You just got back from the.
That place is one of the coldest places you'll ever play. It's
that?
freezing. University of Tasmania Stadium, Launceston. It's cold. It's
a university down there.
they've got a university.
No. No, I mean, I thought they played at a university.
No, it's all very, make a university town their sponsor.
Okay.
It used to be called Aurora Park in the Aurora, was it Aurora Stadium or Aurora?
Oh yeah, Aurora Stadium.
And the traditional name is York Park.
I remember York Park. Are you guys making a play, the new Tassie team, when it comes in 2050? You're going to make a play at Clarko, you reckon? Or?
It seems to have come down a lot, why not?
I don't mind Tom Mitchell but any Bulldogs under the roof, again, it'd be hard to overlook. Danger on Friday night as well, just sort of makes sense.
Do Rory Laird bounce back in a showdown potentially?
Could
Is
do.
that a bit of a left fieldy?
Could do. I think danger for VC, locking in, I reckon.
I think if you've got Dangerfield, you have to go. I don't have it.
Ollie Wines would be a decent
Wines in the
captain
showdown.
option. Like the Crows
don't mind that either.
They give up a lot of points to midfielders.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Clayton Oliver plays the Crows next week.
Clayton Oliver against the Eagles, they've been pretty poor. On Monday night, if you want a late captain, spice up your Monday night.
I don't want to wait till Monday night.
All right, that wraps us up here on the Lair. Good to have everyone back. Good to have Simon. Good
we
luck.
don't have everyone back.
Eradicator. Shout out to our great the Eradicator.
You're making it sound like we had everyone back.
Well, I wiped the floor with him in the elimination final of the Tizer League.
Is that perhaps why he's not here? You offered to get him on as a guest, and he just said no.
Said no.
Yeah, no thanks.
So his season's done, thanks to me. So shout out to Eradicator.
I love you, Rad.
Simeon, thanks for coming on and good luck in the chase with the hipster. You don't have to keep us updated because the hipster will keep us updated in the chat. Hipster, thanks for coming back and glad to see you back in full health. And you didn't turn your back on me.
You assume it's full health.
You're looking pretty good. Sounding pretty good.
I don't know. It's all about how you're feeling, though, isn't it?
Mr. Cage Supercoach, reliable as ever. We'll see you next week here on the Lair.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.